Cal Kellogg here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're not a subscriber yet, hit that subscribe button and you'll always know when I'm on YouTube talking about fishing. Now, last week I put up a video talking about how my turbo salmon spinners might help you catch some fish out in the Sacramento rivers and other rivers where you're going to be trolling large expanses of water for king salmon. Now, that video generated a couple of interesting questions and I'm going to answer those questions right now. So what I showed was how to rig a spinner on a three-way rig. So here's how this works. Your main line from your rod, preferably 40 to 65 pound braid, is going to come down to a three-way swivel like that. You're going to use anywhere from 25 to 40 pound monofilament for the leader, copolymer. You don't really need fluorocarbon. Copolymer works fine, very abrasion resistant. It's got some stretch in it. That's your friend when you're fighting a big giant, 30, 40, maybe 40 pound, 45 pound salmon. Who knows what you're going to catch when you're out there chasing those fall kings. Some of them are very big. You might hook up with the fish of a lifetime and you want tackle that's going to really help you land that fish. So I like to go with P-line, CXX. Your mileage may vary. Bottom line is you don't need fluorocarbon. You can go with the copolymer. So main line comes down, attaches to that three-way swivel. There's your leader section right there. It can be anywhere from about 30 to about 48 inches long, depending on your preferences. You could tip it with a spinner, one of my spinners, turbo spinner, a Silvertron spinner, a Yakima bait spinner, or you could even put like a flatfish on here. So whatever you're gonna put on there, that's the tip of your leader. Off the other eye of the three-way, it comes down to a snap, and that's where you're going to put your weight. And in this case, it's a 1 ounce weight. I didn't feel like going in the garage and getting a bigger weight. But realistically, when you're out in the Sacramento River, someplace like that, you're going to be running a weight that's anywhere from about 2, maybe all the way up to 6 ounces, depending on how deep a water you're fishing and how strong the current is on any given day. I'd say a 3 ounce sinker is about average. Now, the first question I got was, how do I troll this rig? How do I position it in the water column? And that's important. You want to use enough weight. You don't want to go crazy with the amount of weight, so don't take that away from what I'm about to say. You want to use enough weight so your line is semi-vertical going down. You don't want it, straight down, but you don't want it scoped out there 300 feet either. So, figure out how deep the water is, what the current from the boat and what the current from the river is doing to your line, and select your weight accordingly. Ideally, if your line is descending at, say, a 45 to 60 degree angle, that's about right, okay? You don't want to be dredging the bottom with your sinker. What you want to do is get the rig in the water and you want to slowly free spool it out until you just feel that sinker tick the bottom. You want to be right off the bottom, okay? It's worse to be dredging the bottom, dragging the bottom with the sinker all the time than it is to be a foot or two off the bottom. So let that sinker down until it barely ticks the bottom and then put the rod in the holder. Now, keep an eye on the depth. If the water gets deeper, let out more line. If the water gets shallower, retrieve some line, reposition. You need to check your lures, your spinners regularly to make sure they're not carrying grass. You don't want any foliage on there. It's just not going to help you at all, okay? So that's one thing. Now, wham, we're getting a strike. Do not touch the rod until you're sure the fish is on. Salmon, they're big and powerful fish. Sometimes they'll come in, they'll grab the spinner, or they'll grab the plug, and they're just holding on to it. They don't really have the hook yet. So wait until that rod is really working, it's really buried. You've got the hook in the fish. Fish on, fight the fish. As I said in my video last week, make sure you got a big enough net to land a 40-inch salmon, a trophy-sized salmon. You don't want to get that fish up to the boat only to discover that your striper net is too small. So plan ahead. Also be aware that if you do have a big salmon on, the first time you get them up to the boat, they're very likely to go crazy. So plan on that. Be ready for that. Don't be too anxious with the net if you're the guy on the net, because you're going to have this sinker swinging around. If this sinker gets tangled in the net and the fish takes off, guess what? He's going to break the line. So be ready with the net, but don't get it in the water until you're ready to make your move. Never, ever try to net a salmon that doesn't have his head up. Even if he's on the surface, if he is pointing down and you make your move, he's gonna bolt, that sinker's gonna hang in a net, bye-bye fish, and your fishing partner, he's not gonna be real happy with you. So figure it out. Netting salmon, landing salmon, it's a team sport. It's you working with the angler if you're the guy on the net, and if you're the guy on the net, or guy on the rod, you're working with the guy on the net. Wear the fish down, lay the fish out on the surface, and move him towards the net. And then if you're on the net, make the scoop, get that net upright, get him enclosed in the net, and drag him over the side, okay? Once he's in the net, once he's in the purse, you got him. So you don't have to be real anxious about getting it in the boat, but get that net up vertical so he can't get out, grab the hoop of the net, you got him. The other question was about, do you troll down current or do you troll up current? And the answer to that is yes and no. I want you to think about this, okay? Salmon are swimming head into the current. Now you can't always be certain that the current is going in, perfectly in one direction. There's stuff on the bottom, there's wing dams, there's this and that, so the current can be swirling. But if the tide is, going out and the fish are swimming in, you can be pretty certain that they're swimming face in to the current, okay? Fish, I don't care what kind of fish it is, they do not like things coming up from directly behind them. So I am not a big fan of trolling, up current into the current, all right? I would much rather be trolling with the current coming down so the bait is approaching the salmon, head on, or even better yet, you want to tack back and forth. You want the current behind you, but you want to zigzag down. That's going to give the bait, kind of this action as it comes in on the salmon. It's going to be coming in on them at an angle, and that's a lot better than coming in on them from behind. Things that come from behind fish, I don't care how big they are, it tends to spook them. That's where predator's going to come from. So you want your bait or your spinner or whatever it is, you want it approaching the salmon from the front or from an angle from the side. That's optimum. Trolling speed is another factor. I just want to be moving fast enough to make the spinner rotate or to make the plug swim. Remember, these fish aren't biting. You're not looking for a fish that's really excited because he's chasing bait that you're going to elicit a reaction strike out of, by moving the bait really fast. What you want is you want the bait to get up in the fish's face, and you want it to stay in the strike zone for a while because you're trying to kind of elicit a bite out of that fish out of irritation. I don't want to say anger because I don't think fish know what anger is, but you want it to appear to be some sort of an irritant or a threat to the salmon, and one way to do that really well is to keep that lure in the strike zone. Think about further up the river where you're back bouncing a flatfish. Well, the guide, he's using a kicker motor to ensure that that boat is just barely moving backwards. So that swimming plug, it's getting up in the face of the fish just like that, and it's kind of staying there, and it's getting closer and closer, and pretty soon they're like, I've had enough of that, and they grab it, okay? So I'm in favor of a slower presentation. Keep your bait in the strike zone. Come at the fish from head on or from the sides. That means trolling with the current behind you, or a following current, and that's just going to be much better overall. It's hot out here. I'm getting sweat in my eye. I think I've answered those questions. I am gonna go wipe my face off, but I'm gonna say goodbye. I'll catch you next time right here on YouTube. And if you're looking for gear, including my turbo flashers, get on over to fishhuntshoot.com. I'm dying here. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you next time right here on YouTube. Have a great day.